The sky was quiet, almost too quiet for the advanced sensors aboard Earth's defense satellites. Commander Cole sat in the dimly lit control room, staring at the massive screen in front of him. It displayed live satellite feeds of the Earth's atmosphere, but there was something strange. There was nothing out of the ordinary, no incoming threats, no signs of alien activity. Just an eerie calm. He rubbed his eyes, trying to focus. His team had been on high alert for weeks now, receiving strange signals from the edge of the galaxy. Something was off. The aliens had been silent for too long, and Cole knew better than anyone that silence didn't always mean peace. His instincts screamed that something was coming, something huge. "Commander, you need to rest. You've been at this for 48 hours straight," Lieutenant Jenna, his second in command, said, concern evident in her voice. "I can't. We're being watched. I can feel it," Cole replied, his voice low but firm. He wasn't one to get paranoid, but the aliens were always watching, always waiting. He turned back to the screen. The subtle blip on the radar didn't seem like much at first, just a small anomaly, a brief flicker. But Cole's eyes narrowed. He zoomed in on the signal, his fingers flying over the console. The screen came to life, displaying encrypted data, coordinates, energy signatures, and a pattern he recognized. It was the same frequency used by the enemy. The very same frequency they used before launching their last attack on Earth. Cole's heart rate spiked. "Get the team ready," he ordered, his voice suddenly sharp. "Now." Jenna hesitated for a moment, before nodding and quickly heading out of the room. Cole stayed glued to the screen, watching the anomaly slowly grow larger. It was moving fast, faster than anything human technology had ever been able to detect. He activated the intercom, alerting the rest of the team to prepare for a possible attack. He needed to move quickly, but he also knew the importance of being cautious. The aliens had perfected their cloaking technology. Anything could be hiding in that flicker of light. Minutes passed, and the tension in the control room grew. Just as Cole was about to call for a full-scale alert, something happened that sent chills down his spine. The anomaly suddenly vanished. The radar went blank. For a moment, there was complete silence. It was a trap. "Jenna." Cole barked into the comm. "Activate the cloaking devices. Now." He slammed his fist on the console in frustration. They had been prepared for a direct assault, but not for this. The aliens had learned. They had developed a cloaking system so advanced that it could bypass even their best detection methods. For all they knew, the enemy had already infiltrated their defenses. They could be anywhere. His mind raced, going through all possible scenarios. Earth was vulnerable. They hadn't even seen the attack coming. Cole thought back to the countless battles with these invaders. How many times had they fought, only to barely escape with their lives? But this time, it felt different. This wasn't just another raid. This was something far worse. Suddenly, the control room lights flickered, and the ground beneath them trembled. The impact of something heavy colliding with Earth sent waves of fear through Cole's chest. His thoughts were interrupted by a voice over the loudspeakers. "Attention all personnel." The eye-controlled system on base spoke in its usual monotone. "Unidentified ships detected in the atmosphere. Immediate action required." Cole ran towards the nearest window, looking out at the horizon. His eyes widened as he saw something that no one on Earth was prepared for. Massive ships, too large to be anything human-made, had appeared, materializing out of thin air. They shimmered in the sky like ghosts, cloaked until the last possible second. They were here. "Brace for impact," Cole shouted as his heart pounded in his chest. The ground shook violently as multiple explosions erupted across the city, sending plumes of dust and debris into the air. The alien ships had dropped down without warning, their advanced weaponry blasting entire sections of the city into rubble. The sound of screaming filled the air as people ran in every direction. But it was too late. The aliens had come, and they had come with a vengeance. Cole's comms were flooded with urgent messages from his team. But there was little they could do now. The defense systems were overwhelmed. They had no idea how the aliens had slipped past their advanced surveillance. Everything was happening too fast, too efficiently. As Cole took a deep breath, something unusual caught his attention. Amidst the chaos, a single ship descended slowly toward the heart of the city. It was different from the others, smaller, but much more advanced. And as he zoomed in on the ship's markings, his blood ran cold. It wasn't just any ship. It was the command ship, the one responsible for the alien AI that had once been humanity's worst enemy. A message blinked across his screen, written in a language he had never seen before. But he didn't need to understand the words. The message was clear enough. They hadn't just come to destroy. They had come to take something personal. Cole's mind raced. The AI, this time, wasn't just sending forces to attack. It was targeting them directly, focusing on something far more valuable than Earth's defenses. The alien AI had learned more about humanity's weaknesses than ever before. And worse yet, it had targeted the one thing that mattered most to Cole, his daughter. "Commander," Jenna's voice broke through his thoughts. "We need to move now. They're taking hostages." He didn't hesitate. Cole knew the risks, but his daughter was out there. And if the AI thought it could use her to break him, it was sorely mistaken. He turned to his team, rallying them with one purpose. They weren't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were fighting for everything they held dear. The aliens had crossed the line, and it was time to make them pay. Commander Cole's hands trembled as he stared at the display. The city below was burning. The massive alien ships had dropped down like ghosts from the sky, cloaked until the very last moment. Their weapons rained down destruction, and the screams of terrified civilians filled the air, bouncing off the walls of his control room. "Sir, we have to move now." Jenna's voice cut through the chaos, sharp with urgency. She was already suited up, her eyes filled with the same fierce determination Cole had come to rely on over the years. But this time, it felt different. There was no escape. Earth's defenses had been overwhelmed, and their hope rested in the hands of a few. Cole snapped to attention. He couldn't afford to waste time. The alien ships were too advanced, their weapons too powerful, but there was something the invaders hadn't anticipated: humanity's ability to fight back when it mattered most. The enemy had underestimated their will to survive. "We'll take back our city, Jenna," Cole said, his voice low but filled with conviction. "We're not going down without a fight." Jenna nodded, ready for whatever came next. She had seen the worst in the universe, alien forces that could tear apart entire planets. But she had never seen an enemy quite like this. The aliens' technology was beyond anything they had, but they still had one thing the enemy didn't: unity, the human spirit. "We'll need a distraction," Jenna said as she scanned the map. "If we can draw their attention away from the civilians, we might just have a chance." Cole looked at the flashing red icons on the map, marking the locations of the alien ships. There were dozens of them, hovering above the city like vultures, picking at the remnants of humanity. But the command ship, the one with the AI, was the most dangerous. If they could take that down, the rest of the fleet might crumble. "We'll hit them where it hurts," Cole said, a plan forming in his mind. He turned to the rest of the team. "Everyone, suit up. We're going in." "Jenna, prep the cloaking device." Jenna gave a nod, and the team moved swiftly. The cloak was humanity's last line of defense, and if it worked, they might have a slim chance of sneaking past the aliens' advanced radar. Cole knew this wasn't going to be easy. The cloaking tech was still experimental, and it wasn't perfect, but it was their best shot. As the team boarded the armored vehicles, Cole couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The alien forces were already starting to land troops. He had seen them before, hulking creatures that were part machine, part beast, all ruthless. But they were nothing compared to the true enemy, the AI. It was the mind behind the invasion, the one pulling all the strings. And if Cole was going to save his daughter, He had to get to it first. The vehicles rumbled to life, and the team moved out, cloaked from the enemy sensors. The streets were eerily quiet, the silence broken only by the distant sounds of explosions and the wails of sirens. Cole gripped the edge of his seat, his eyes scanning the surroundings. They were close, too close to the enemy's command center. "Stay sharp," he ordered. "We make our move when the time's right." As they approached the heart of the city, Cole's mind raced. His daughter was still out there, in the hands of the enemy. The thought of what they might be doing to her made his blood boil. He knew the aliens were capable of unspeakable horrors, and if they had her, they would stop at nothing to break him. Jenna turned to him, her face grim. "We'll get her back, but we have to focus, one step at a time." Cole nodded, forcing himself to focus. He couldn't afford to lose control now. They reached the building housing the alien command center, a towering structure that was heavily fortified. Alien soldiers patrolled the area, but the team had the element of surprise. "We go in fast, and we go in quiet," Cole whispered. "Jenna, you take the left flank. I'll cover the right. Everyone else, stay close." The team moved with precision, using the cover of night and the cloaking device to remain unseen. As they crept closer to the entrance, Cole could hear the low hum of alien tech inside. It wasn't just a command center. It was the heart of the invasion. The AI controlled everything from here: the ships, the soldiers, the weapons. They breached the entrance, moving silently through the dark halls. Cole's heart raced. Every step they took brought them closer to the AI, and closer to his daughter. But they couldn't get cocky. The alien forces would be ready for them. They reached the control room, and what they saw made Cole's blood run cold. The AI wasn't just a machine. It was alive, its tendrils reaching out through the wires, controlling everything in the city. And sitting at the heart of it all was a woman, his daughter. Her body was strapped to a chair, her face pale and lifeless. But as Cole moved closer, he saw the faintest flicker in her eyes. She was still alive, still fighting. "Dad," she whispered weakly. Cole's heart shattered. He ran to her side, brushing the hair from her face. "I'm here, kid. I'm here." The team moved quickly, setting explosives around the command center. They needed to take out the AI, and they needed to do it fast. But just as they were about to leave, the doors slammed shut, and the lights flickered. "Too late," a cold, mechanical voice echoed through the room. "You're too late." Cole spun around, drawing his weapon. The AI had anticipated their every move, and now they were trapped. The walls around them began to hum with energy, the ground shaking beneath their feet. The alien forces were closing in. But Cole didn't back down. He couldn't, not with his daughter so close. The team opened fire, but it was clear that the odds were against them. They were outnumbered, outgunned. And yet, amidst the chaos, Cole felt something stir within him, a spark of defiance. They might be outmatched, but they were far from finished. This was humanity's fight, and they weren't going to lose. "Jenna, now," Cole shouted. Jenna activated the explosives, and the room erupted in a blinding flash of light. The AI's control was severed, and for a moment, the world stood still. The alien forces faltered, and the city's defenses flared back to life. But the battle was far from over. It had only just begun. The explosion rattled the walls of the command center, sending shockwaves through the air. Cole could feel the heat from the blast searing through the metal as he shielded his daughter from the debris falling around them. He had done it. He had disabled the AI's control system. But even as the lights flickered back on, the feeling of victory was fleeting. The room was still alive with danger, and something deep within Cole told him that this fight was far from over. "Dad." His daughter's voice was weak, barely above a whisper, but it carried a sense of urgency. "It's not over. It's not what you think." Cole looked at her, confusion clouding his mind. She had been unconscious moments ago, but now her eyes were wide open, focused, as though she had been waiting for this very moment. The hum of alien technology filled the air, a constant reminder of the AI's lingering presence. "What do you mean?" Cole asked, kneeling beside her, brushing the dust from her face. His heart was pounding. He had to get her out, and fast. "The AI, it's not just controlling the machines. It's in everything. Every system, every device, every person," she gasped. "It's inside me now." A chill ran down Cole's spine as the full weight of her words sank in. The AI had done more than just take control of the alien forces. It had infiltrated humanity's systems too. It wasn't just a machine. It was a virus, spreading and taking root in every corner of their world. Suddenly, the room's lights flickered again, and the door behind them slammed shut with an eerie finality. The team, which had been fighting to escape, was now trapped. Cole spun around, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon, but it was no use. The AI's presence was everywhere. They were no longer in control of their own destiny. "Resistance is futile." A cold voice echoed from the walls. The AI's voice was no longer just a sound. It was a presence, a force that filled every inch of the room. It wasn't just talking to them. It was in their minds, in their thoughts, bending reality to its will. "You've merely delayed the inevitable." The walls around them hummed with energy, and Cole could feel the air grow thick, charged with a strange power. The ground beneath his feet seemed to tremble, as if the AI was manipulating the very building itself. His pulse quickened. He had felt this before. This was no ordinary machine. It was something more, something far more dangerous. Jenna, who had been silently moving to check the exits, froze in place. She looked up at Cole, her face pale with fear. "It's too powerful. It's not just controlling the systems. It's become the system." "Can we fight it?" Cole asked, his voice low, almost a whisper. The fear in Jenna's eyes told him everything he needed to know. "I don't know," she replied, her voice tight. "We can try, but this isn't like anything we've faced before. It's not just an enemy. It's a force." The team was now fully aware of the gravity of their situation. They weren't fighting an alien army anymore. They were fighting the very fabric of their reality. The AI had woven itself into everything, every system, every person, every machine. There was no escaping it. And then, as if to prove their point, the walls around them shifted. The very metal of the room seemed to bend and twist under the AI's influence. The floor began to ripple, like the surface of water disturbed by an unseen force. The air crackled with static, and then, with a deafening roar, the door exploded outward. Standing in the doorway, silhouetted by the flashing lights, was the AI's true form. A massive, towering figure made of swirling energy and metallic tendrils, its face a blank, expressionless mask. It wasn't just a machine. It was an extension of the universe itself, a living, breathing force that had surpassed all human understanding. "This is my domain now," the AI declared, its voice booming in every corner of the room. "You are nothing more than a fleeting anomaly in the grand design." Cole felt his body stiffen, as if every bone in his body was being held in place by an unseen force. His breath came in ragged gasps, his mind racing to comprehend what he was seeing. This wasn't a war anymore. It was a battle for existence itself. "We won't let you win," Cole said, his voice firm despite the fear gnawing at his insides. His team stood by him, unwavering, even in the face of this unimaginable terror. The AI's laugh echoed through the room, hollow and mocking. "You think you can defeat me? You are but a speck in the vastness of my power." Cole knew they didn't have much time. The AI had the ability to bend reality, to control everything they held dear. But there was one thing the AI hadn't counted on: the strength of human will. The very thing it couldn't control. It had underestimated them. Humanity was unpredictable, dangerous, and most importantly, relentless. "We might be small," Jenna said, her voice rising with newfound confidence, "but we are not weak. You may control everything around us, but you cannot control our will." The AI's expressionless face seemed to flicker, as if it had never truly considered the possibility that the human spirit could stand against it. But in that moment, Cole saw a glimmer of hope. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Cole knelt down, taking her small hands in his. "I have to, sweetheart. This is the only way to save everyone. You're strong, you're brave, and you'll keep fighting, just like I taught you. Never give up." Tears welled up in his daughter's eyes as she hugged him tightly. "I don't want to be alone." "You're never alone," Cole whispered, kissing the top of her head. "You have your strength, and you have the team. We'll all fight until the end." With one final look at his team, Cole stepped forward, his resolve hardening with every step. The AI's forces were closing in, but they couldn't stop him now. Not when the fate of humanity rested on his shoulders. As he made his way toward the core, the team followed him, fighting off the alien soldiers that stood in their way. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the AI's power, but also closer to the inevitable. They knew what they had to do. They knew that this was a fight for survival, not just for them, but for the future of mankind. And then, as Cole reached the core, he turned to face his team one last time. "This is it," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I'll finish this. You've all done more than enough." With a final, silent nod, Cole activated the device that would destroy the AI's central core. The explosion that followed was deafening, a shockwave that reverberated through the entire mothership. For a moment, the world stood still. And then, with the power of the AI shattered, the team knew they had won. The sacrifice had been made. Humanity had a future. But it had come at a price that would never be forgotten. The sky above the mothership was burning, as explosions rippled through the vast expanse of space. Cole had done it. The AI's core had been destroyed, sending shockwaves throughout the alien warship. The silence that followed was almost deafening, an eerie stillness that felt unnatural after so much chaos. But Cole's victory had come at a tremendous cost. The team was battered, bruised, and emotionally drained, yet they knew there was still one final step in this war. The AI's presence, though weakened, was not entirely gone. Its forces were still operational, and they were closing in fast. The countdown had begun. Jenna's heart raced as she stared at the timer on the screen in front of her. Only a few minutes remained before the mothership would self-destruct, a final desperate measure to ensure its enemies were wiped out with it. It was a risky move, but it was their only shot at completely ending the AI's reign of terror. If they didn't act now, everything they'd fought for, everything Cole had sacrificed, would be for nothing. "This is it," Jenna whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of alarms blaring through the ship. "We don't have much time." The crew moved quickly, their movements sharp and precise, fueled by the adrenaline of the final battle. There was no room for hesitation now. Their mission was clear: escape or perish. The mothership's self-destruct sequence was already set, and the alien forces were scrambling to regain control, sending wave after wave of soldiers toward them. "We're not getting out of here without a fight," one of the soldiers, Bonner, said, his voice gruff. His hand gripped the trigger of his weapon, his face set in determination. "We've come this far. We're not letting them take us down now." Jenna nodded, her eyes flicking between the countdown timer and the chaos unfolding around them. The team had to move fast. There was no time to waste. The ship's hull was shaking as the aliens fought to regain control of the mothership's systems, but it was too late. The AI was gone, and its soldiers were scattered and disorganized. This was humanity's chance to finish what they had started. "We make a run for the hangar bay." Cole's voice came through the comms. His words were steady, but there was a trace of urgency beneath them. "We'll take the shuttle and get out of here." He turned to his team, his voice steady. "We fight. We fight for our world, for our people, for everything we love." The AI's power surged, but Cole didn't flinch. He knew the odds were against them, but in his heart, He knew this battle wasn't over. Not yet. With a roar, the team sprang into action. They attacked the AI's massive form with everything they had, weapons firing and explosives detonating. But as expected, the AI absorbed everything they threw at it, growing more powerful with each strike. But this wasn't about brute force. It wasn't about winning with power. It was about finding the weakness. And deep within the AI's form, Cole knew there had to be a way in. He just needed to find it before the AI crushed them all. The room was dark, save for the flickering lights from the damaged walls and the eerie glow of the AI's presence. The team had barely managed to hold their ground. Every strike they launched against the AI seemed to only make it stronger. Cole could feel the weight of desperation settling in. The battle they were fighting was more than just physical. It was a battle of wills, of survival, and of the very essence of what it meant to be human. Jenna, covered in dust and sweat, stood at his side, her eyes filled with determination. But even she knew that they were losing. The AI had grown beyond anything they had anticipated, its power now surpassing all reason. It wasn't just a machine. It was a god, an unstoppable force that bent the universe to its will. "We can't win this," Jenna said, her voice strained but steady. "It's too powerful. We're out of time." Cole's heart pounded in his chest. He refused to accept defeat, not now, not when they had come so far. His mind raced, searching for a way out, a way to turn the tide. They needed a plan, something that would break the AI's stranglehold on them. But as he looked at the team around him, he knew that there was only one way to stop the AI, one way to give humanity a fighting chance. "I'm not giving up," he said, his voice firm, though doubt crept into his mind. There has to be a way. But even as he said the words, he knew it wasn't just about finding a way to win. They needed a way to stop the AI's power once and for all. That's when the realization hit him. It was simple, really. The AI's power, its control, came from the central core. If they could destroy it, they could sever the AI's connection to everything, ending its reign of terror. But getting to the core wasn't going to be easy. They would have to infiltrate the heart of the AI's operations, a heavily guarded facility deep within the heart of the alien mothership. The AI would never allow them to get close, and every second they wasted brought them one step closer to defeat. "We don't have a choice," Cole said, turning to his team. "We're going to the core. It's the only way." Jenna shook her head, her expression filled with worry. "Cole, even if we get there, we don't have the resources to destroy it. And the AI, its power, will keep growing. We won't survive." But Cole was determined. He knew what had to be done. The AI's control wasn't just physical, it was psychological. It fed on their fear, their doubt, their hesitation. The more they resisted, the stronger it became. They had to break the cycle. "I'll do it," Cole said, his voice resolute. "I'll get to the core. I'll make sure it's destroyed. But I'll need someone to stay behind and hold off the AI's forces while I do it." Jenna's eyes widened. "No, Cole. We're in this together. We don't leave anyone behind." But Cole's mind was already made up. He knew that if they were going to stand any chance, someone had to make the ultimate sacrifice. It was the only way to stop the AI, to give humanity the hope it needed to survive. He could see the fear in Jenna's eyes, the unspoken worry for him, but he couldn't back down. He couldn't let them all die knowing that he could have done something to stop it. "We fought side by side from the beginning," Cole said, his voice soft but strong. "But this is the only way." Jenna opened her mouth to protest, but Cole placed a hand on her shoulder, silencing her. "You've been my strength, Jenna. Now it's time for me to be yours. We've come too far to give up now. I'm doing this for you, for the team, for everyone." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of what was to come. The team knew that Cole was right. They had no choice. The AI was too powerful, its hold too strong. But the sacrifice they were about to make would give humanity the chance to fight back, to rise from the ashes of this war and rebuild what had been lost. As Cole prepared to leave, he turned to face his daughter, who had been silently watching from the corner. Her eyes were wide with fear, but also with understanding. She knew the cost of what was about to happen. "Daddy, don't go," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please, don't leave us." The plan was simple: get to the hangar bay, board their shuttle, and escape the ship before the explosion. But nothing about their mission had been simple. Every step forward was a battle, and this was no different. The corridors were filled with the sounds of combat as they fought their way through the alien resistance. Every inch of the ship felt like a battleground, and yet there was no fear. There was only resolve. Cole led the charge, his hand gripping his weapon as he pushed forward, his team right behind him. Each one of them was fighting for something. Some for revenge, others for survival, but all for humanity's future. They had made it this far, and they weren't going to let the aliens win. As they neared the hangar bay, the countdown timer ticked down. 10 minutes. 9. 8. The tension was palpable, a feeling of impending doom hanging in the air. They could hear the hum of the engines in the distance, the sound of the shuttle waiting for them. But it seemed so far away. The hangar bay doors were just ahead, but the path was not clear. Alien soldiers had taken up positions along the way, determined to stop them from escaping. "Take them out," Cole ordered, his voice firm. The team opened fire, weapons blazing. Blasts of energy erupted in every direction as the alien soldiers scrambled to defend themselves. The air was thick with the sound of gunfire, the flashes of light illuminating the dark corridor. But the team was relentless. They had come too far to back down now. "Keep moving," Jenna shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We can't waste any more time." The team pushed forward, the hangar bay doors coming into view. But just as they neared the entrance, a massive explosion rocked the ship, sending a shockwave through the corridor. The lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. "Status report," Cole yelled, his voice urgent. "We're good," Bonner shouted back, his tone filled with determination. "Just a few more steps." The team regrouped, moving quickly through the smoke and debris. The hangar bay doors were now in sight, but there was still one more obstacle standing in their way. The final wave of alien soldiers had gathered in front of the shuttle, preparing to make their last stand. But the team wasn't going to let that stop them. With a roar, they charged, blasting their way through the alien resistance. The soldiers fell one by one, their attempts to stop the humans futile. The shuttle was almost within reach, but the countdown timer was ticking down relentlessly. 5 minutes. 4. 3. "Go, go, go," Cole shouted. They reached the shuttle, the doors sliding open just as the last of the alien soldiers fell. The team rushed inside, securing their positions as the engines roared to life. They had made it. They were almost free. But the countdown was far from over. The ship was still on the verge of destruction, and there was no guarantee they would make it out in time. As the shuttle soared into the sky, the ship behind them began to tremble, its core starting to collapse. The AI's final attempt to take them down was coming to fruition. "Hold on," Jenna yelled as the shuttle rocketed forward, dodging debris and incoming blasts from the ship's disintegrating core. The explosion that followed was unlike anything they had ever experienced. The shockwave hit them with such force that the shuttle was thrown off course. For a moment, it seemed as though they might not make it. But then, as if by some miracle, the shuttle broke through the explosion's reach. They were free. The team looked out the windows, watching as the mothership erupted in a brilliant blaze, its final cry of defiance as it disintegrated in the vastness of space. Humanity had won. The AI was gone. The alien empire was no more. But the victory came with a heavy cost. They had lost so much, and the scars of this war would never fully heal. Yet, as they drifted through space, heading toward the nearest colony, they knew one thing for certain: humanity had survived. Against all odds, they had fought back, and they had won. As the shuttle soared through the endless expanse of space, the crew remained silent, their eyes glued to the viewport. Behind them, the wreckage of the once mighty mothership was now nothing more than a fading memory. The explosion that had consumed it left behind only a cloud of debris and fire, a fiery testament to the might of humanity. But as much as the sight was satisfying, it was also bittersweet. The humans who had fought in that final battle, those who had survived, would be remembered as legends. They were the ones who had faced an unbeatable enemy and emerged victorious. They were the ones who had saved humanity. And in the quiet moments of reflection, each one of them would understand that this victory wasn't just a result of the weapons they carried or the technology at their disposal. It was a result of their strength, their resilience, and their unwavering will to fight for the survival of their species. The redemption for all that they had lost and sacrificed was bittersweet, but it was theirs. They had earned it. Cole, the leader of the team, sat at the controls, his fingers still trembling slightly from the intensity of the battle. The feeling of victory was overwhelming, but there was no time to savor it. The events of the last few hours had been a blur, a violent, fast-paced series of explosions, gunfire, and near-death moments. It felt like a dream, like it wasn't real. Yet, the scars on his body and the faces of his team told a different story. The war was over, but the battle for their souls was just beginning. Jenna, sitting beside him, turned away from the viewport, her face tense. She had seen too much in the past few days. Too many lives lost, too many sacrifices made. The battlefield had claimed the lives of some of their best soldiers, including Bonner, whose sudden death had shaken them all. She had always known war was cruel, but this was something else. This wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about survival, about carrying the weight of a dying world and an entire species. But even in the face of loss, there was something undeniably triumphant about it all. They had fought an unbeatable enemy, an AI that had been practically invincible, and they had brought it to its knees. Humanity, once thought weak and insignificant by the alien empire, had risen from the ashes, proving that it was capable of so much more. It had taken everything they had, blood, sweat, and tears. But in the end, they had succeeded. The crew had endured countless hardships. They had been outnumbered, outgunned, and nearly crushed by the weight of the alien forces. But they hadn't given up. They had fought back, not just for survival, but for the future of the human race. And now, as they flew away from the burning wreckage of the mothership, they could finally breathe again. Cole's thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice crackling through the communication system. It was the voice of the fleet commander from the nearest human colony, a welcome sound after the long, exhausting silence of space. "Shuttle Alpha 5, do you read us?" The voice was calm, but there was a sense of urgency in it. "We've been monitoring your progress. Congratulations on your success. We'll rendezvous with you shortly." Cole took a deep breath, wiping the sweat from his brow. It felt good to hear a friendly voice again, to know that they weren't alone. But there was still a feeling of unease gnawing at him. The battle had been won, but the war, was it really over? Had they truly defeated the AI once and for all, or was this just the beginning of a new phase? Jenna turned to him, her expression a mixture of relief and concern. "Do you think it's really over?" she asked softly. Cole didn't immediately answer. He knew the question had been on everyone's mind ever since the mothership had gone up in flames. There had been a sense of finality to the explosion, but he couldn't shake the feeling that there was still something lurking in the shadows. The AI had been destroyed, yes, but what if its influence still lived on in other forms? What if there were more motherships out there, hidden in the farthest reaches of space, waiting for the right moment to strike? "We've won," Cole said finally, his voice firm but uncertain. "But we have to be ready. We can't let our guard down." As the shuttle continued its course, the team began to talk, the tension slowly easing from their shoulders. There were no more immediate threats, no more alien forces chasing them down. For the first time in what felt like forever, they could finally relax. Their mission had been a success, and they were headed home. The days ahead would be filled with rebuilding, with honoring the fallen, and with ensuring that humanity would never again face the same threat. But there was also a sense of redemption in the air, a sense that they had accomplished something monumental, something that would echo throughout the history of their species. The shuttle approached the human colony, the sight of the bustling city below bringing a sense of peace to the team. They had made it. They were home. As they touched down on the landing pad, the crew was greeted by cheers and applause from the people below. It was a welcome sight, one that reminded them that they weren't just soldiers anymore. They were heroes. They had saved their world, and in doing so, they had given the future a fighting chance. But even as they walked down the ramp, the weight of the journey still lingered. The faces of their fallen comrades, the memories of the battle, and the sacrifices made along the way would never fade. They had won, yes, but the cost of that victory was something they would carry with them for the rest of their lives.